If you've been wondering how to generate all the leads you need with the zero cost, David Barr is going to share with us today exactly how to do that. And I know you're going to get something out of it. All right, today I am joined by David Barr with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Florida Realty. David, if you don't mind, before we even get into this, if people don't know you, tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the business, the area you mainly focus in, and kind of what your business looks like right now, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Let's see, I'm David Barr. I'm a licensed realtor with Berkshire Hathaway. I've been with Berkshire for 6 years now. Well, my areas that I cover are Sarasota, Venice, which is to the south. And in Venice, there's a master plan community called Welland Park. That's the number 5 best-selling master plan community in the country right now. Then in the other direction from Sarasota, I cover Lakewood Ranch, and that's like either 1 or 2 best-selling master plan community. So I've got 2 best-selling master plan communities in my coverage area, which is great. And I've also started covering Parrish, which is just to the north of Lakewood Ranch. And one of the builders in a recent magazine article said that's like the center of the new construction universe in our area going forward. So I wanted to cover that. My niche really is new construction homes. Mm-hmm. There's over 60 of them in the area that I cover. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a customer who wants more of a lifestyle community, or wants to be closer to the water, or wants a certain 55 and older type thing, that's where I come in handy and help you narrow down the list of choices.
That's awesome. All right. Well, listen, David, this is kind of interesting. And what I love to do is kind of, we're now at chapter 10 in the book of David Barr, so to speak. Let's go back to chapter 1 or 2. Yeah, I know. That's right. That's what I like to say too. I know. Let's go back and talk about when you first got in, because you moved down there, didn't know a lot of people. You started in the real estate business. How did you get started? What were the things you did early on that worked for you? What do you think you wish you would have known also, maybe?
It's an odd story. I actually first put out a real estate website of my own when I was in Nashville back in the late 90s. And I did not know what the index page was when I was creating a website. Index is your homepage. Yeah. I had no idea, no clue. Then I moved here and did the same thing. I had started a website, and I started going to neighborhoods, getting information, getting photos, before I really even knew what I was doing with that. So that's really how I learned the market, was just getting out in the market and seeing where the neighborhoods were that I would be selling, hopefully, and getting more familiar with them from a newcomer standpoint, trying to put myself in the shoes of a buyer coming here.
So when you did that, David, because I think some people skip this step, they just want to get into the selling. You spent some time really getting to know those neighborhoods. And you mentioned you were doing some of the stuff for your website. Were you writing blog content? Were you doing video? What were you doing? Anything on that at all?
I was so clueless when I first started. I had no idea what I was doing, really, to be honest. And there was nobody, other than the brokerages, the major brokerages doing their own websites. And just, in the late 90s, all of this was brand new to everybody.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I was just I knew nothing about website placement. I knew nothing about search engine optimization, none of that stuff. And I just put stuff out there, and some of it would get picked up. It resulted in some pretty nice sales, and a couple of lasting relationships in a high-end bracket. So it was successful, but it was very up and down as far as financially went. It was either a hit or miss. It wasn't anything very strategic that was generating income for me on a consistent basis. So I learned a lot from that experience also.
I'll tell you what, David, too, because I talk to a lot of different agents, and a lot of times some people are like, well, I don't know what to do. And in most cases, the ones that are the most successful, they have that same deal. They don't know what to do. They just start taking action. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute, this kind of worked a little bit. Let me do more of that. And it sounds like that. Well, let's take this back now. Knowing what you know now, if you were to go back, what would you have focused in on back then that you didn't realize you should have?
As far as what I did myself, understanding that not everybody is comfortable doing a website, because I was a language major in college, so I can write, which helped me tremendously, believe it or not. And I took a typing class in high school. That was like the second best thing I ever did, because I type constantly, as you can imagine, in this business with emails and whatnot. But the biggest thing I wish I had done was learn more about search engine optimization from the get-go. It took me a while to figure out that I needed to have it, and I could do it on my own. That's a lot of people think you can't do it on your own. That's the one thing you have to know how to do. And it's almost like it's its own language in itself. And once you kind of figure out what Google is looking for or wants to look from what you are posting in your content, it all comes from that. So to give you an example, if someone's looking for, I think you're from the Panhandle of Florida, is that right?
Uh-huh.
So are they looking for Panhandle, Florida real estate? Are they looking for a certain town in your area? Or is it both?
Right.
And once you figure that out, Google will reward you by sending you traffic. But it's how you juxtapose words and what order you put words in. The words that you want to focus on as far as keywords should go at the front of the sentence, not inside the sentence, so that Google can read it easier and put it out to people who are looking for that. And it's so simple now. The concept is simple. It took me a while to figure it out. And I'm glad I did, because it made a huge difference in my business.
So David, I'll give you some hints on some things that we're using, and I'd love to hear if there's specific tools that you're using. So like for me, we're doing a lot of stuff now with YouTube, and we're using things like keywords everywhere, which gives us that it tells us how many times that is searched per month, that search term. It tells us what the pay-per-click would cost us, which gives us an idea of the amount of competition. And then we're using something like TubeBuddy, which helps us with our tagging and some of those. Are there specific to, and I know that's on the video side. And you mentioned on the SEO side also, which now with Google and YouTube being owned, YouTube being owned by Google, is there something in particular, if somebody was wanting to learn that, is there something you use or that's out there right now besides those two I mentioned?
Well, I have a pretty extensive YouTube channel. I think I have over 500 videos on there now. And I'm just using the same SEO principles when I post a video on YouTube that they would use on Google to rank a video or rank a landing page on your website. And that seems to be working. I don't pay for any leads. I don't pay for marketing. It's kind of a running joke in my office with my broker especially, but I don't pay for that stuff. It's all out there. It's all free. There are so many free tools that agents are not taking advantage of. And if you use those tools first and foremost and don't spend a dime on marketing, you can still be successful.
Yeah. And David, I've seen some of your video stuff now and some of the things that you're doing marketing wise, and obviously you're taking it to another level. It probably wasn't that way when you first started. So if there's an agent out there that's like, well, I don't know how to do all this video. I don't know SEO. I don't know these things. You just started taking action. I did the same thing and then began to realize, well, that worked a little better, or I can refine it this way. What about that? How did it start with you? What were you using to shoot some of that? If you've done 500, these didn't happen last week. You've been doing this for a little while.
Well, what I was doing, starting out, really the success of my website and my online marketing didn't really take off until midway through my career, I would say. Back probably 7-8 years ago is when I really started attacking it strategically with SEO especially. And I was looking at photos as a way to point back to the website, or to make what was on the page that I was writing, make it relevant to a search that Google would understand and rank.
Right.
So whatever you put on a blog page or on a website page, things have to reference what the page is about. So that's your photos, that's a map. You can embed Google Maps for free. I mean, nothing makes your page about a neighborhood more relevant than a Google map of where the neighborhood is. So that's a really simple concept that I never ever thought of as an agent just getting into the digital marketing aspect of what we do. But it's actually very simple. So as many things as you can put on a page that are relevant without being duplicative, Google will read that and reward you with a higher rank. So that's the best thing you can do, is take content, take photos, video, whatever. It's all content. You can share it on a web page. You can put it on a blog post. You can put it on a Facebook page. One of the most important things that I'm using for social media and for digital and for content is to Google My Business. It's totally free. and it generates results, unbelievable results for a couple of my areas. So I would just say, take advantage of Google's free tools, especially like YouTube, totally free, of course. Google My Business, maps are free. They'll even tell you how to embed one of their maps on your website.
Yeah.
So
So tell me a little more about Google My Business, because we hear this all the time and people are like, well, I got my business listed. What's the steps as far as whether it be reviews or whether it be, tell me what that would look like if you were right now starting your Google My Business page. What would that look like? What would you say would be some of the things that would be important on that?
Photos are very important on that. And you want to make sure you're very clear on what your services are. There's a huge, there's a big area as you're setting up your account on Google My Business where you can list your services out. So you're not just a realtor, you're a real estate counselor. They give you like some preset choices, I believe, but make sure you're filling that out correctly as you're setting up your account. They'll also want to see outside pictures of your building, maybe some pictures of your lobby, but then start posting photos of what you think people would be interested in as they're driving around in their car with their cell phone. And they're like, where's this condo that I see here on Google My Business? They'll see it on their phone. And Google will start bringing you up in the ranks on Google My Business as a pin on a map or as a business listing when you're doing just a search off of a Google page. So it's just like, it's so related to search engine optimization. If you're doing Google My Business, you get rewarded the more posts you put on your profile. So if it's a new home community, if it's just a nice day at the beach, if it's an attraction, a statue at a park, or a picture of a park, anything that's relevant to what your page is about, your Google My Business, if it's relevant to that, that will get you lots of results too. So the whole thing, really, when it comes down to it, is just being relevant to what people are looking for. So you want to look for this new home community, I have a picture of the pool. And that's what you're going to be posting. So I would say the biggest thing to simplify it and boil it down for a new agent is be relevant. You've got to understand what your customers are looking for, right? In any business. So that applies to real estate. So if you understand that your customers are looking for new construction, and that's something I wanted to focus on because we were losing too much business to that, and we still do to this day. Make that a niche. Go to these different new home communities, which is what I do. I fly my drone over them, or drones. But people want to see the photos. They want to see the fitness center. They want to see the pool. They want to see the clubhouse. So all of that stuff is relevant content to what you're doing.
And so from that standpoint, are you finding any difference between drone or video footage of the neighborhood? In other words, panning a pool instead of a picture, or is it all just content and it all does well? Anything in particular stand out right now?
Well, if you're new, I'm not saying you're going to want to go out and buy a drone and learn how to fly it. That's a whole process in and of itself. But just panning a pool and just take your phone and use its camera. Today's phones take amazing pictures. Just make sure you have the aspect ratio correct, so it'll fit on a wide angle or something like that. But your phone is your biggest friend. Just take a ton of photos. I'm trying to tell people who want to get into this, start building your library. Go out into your market, take pictures of the park or of the courthouse or of the state capitol or wherever you happen to be. We're in a huge area. We have so much to show. Beaches, parks, condos, new home. I mean, we have everything here. So I have no shortage of content to share with people, but take your phone and just have it ready. And even for me, when I first started using my phone and a camera, I would forget. It's like a muscle you have to build, and you have to remember to use it. But it's so important because so many people in our market are coming from outside. They want to see what we have to offer. And the best way to do that is with any kind of photo that's decent, even if it's a short video. Most phones have what's the term for it? They don't shake.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's stabilizer. Yeah, it's stabilizer. Yes.
And you don't need to buy an extra stabilizer or what's the word I'm looking for?
It's got, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's got Yeah, it's got everything that you need in your phone, and it's
Exactly.
got the wide angle lens. It's got the different ratios. Everything's there
Just
that
start
you
with
could
that.
possibly need. Yeah.
Start with that and start building a library, but never stop building. By the time you're done at the end of 3 or 4 months, you may never have to take another photo again. Just keep recycling what you've already taken, if it's evergreen or if it's something that's always there. Maybe you go take pictures of fall foliage. That's a big plus for a lot of people. Maybe a new school's being built. There's so much out there you can take pictures of to show people who are coming to you, your market. The more you post about it, you really start looking like the expert. And that's what happened to me with my drones, is that I really got people in a different price market who were looking at the drones and saying, who produced your drones, and who produced your videos? That looks really professional. I mean, I think that did kind of elevate my business a little bit as far as who I was attracting, for sure. But it didn't happen on day one. That's definitely for sure.
So David, let's boil this down, because most people aren't at the level you are on this, but I'm sure there are people that have been listening to this and they're like, you know what, I need to go do that. If you were going to be starting right now and you were going to take let's just use this, say somebody has a planned development or a neighborhood or an area they wanted to do, and you were going to be adding that, or you were starting fresh, what are the things that you would highlight, and how would you do that? As far as which portions would you load up, just so we can take it from a 101 level for the person out there that's like, that what Dave is doing makes complete sense. I need to do that. Where would you start, and what would you start with on that?
I would start with Google My Business and start posting photos on there, because those same photos you take eventually will end up on your website. Create a page for that development or that neighborhood on your website and add those photos on there. And those photos are great for Facebook, and for Instagram, obviously. I can't say I get a lot from Instagram, but you want to create a Facebook business page after you set up your Google My Business account. Get a Facebook business page, because literally you can almost paste the exact same thing with the exact same photo on Google My Business and on Facebook at the same time. It's not going to penalize you with either one of them. So the thing is to take your content and spread it out over these different platforms, so you have more of a chance that someone will see it.
And do you title those? How do you title those? Like, say it's a picture of the pool at a certain community. Do you just say, pool at whatever neighborhood, or do you do a description, or how do you do that when you load that into Google My Business?
You can't do SEO on the photo. You're going to want to do it in the body of the description of your post.
Okay.
So you can do it in there as long as it's relevant. You always want to direct for whatever you're posting, whether you're just starting out. You've got to have these different platforms to start directing your traffic to see more detailed information. Like on Google My Business, it's maybe a 4 or 5 line description. It's very basic, but you get people looking at it. You want to put in a URL for your website so people go out and check out more of what you have. I use Wix for my website. It's very easy. It's easy to post photos and video, and they have very good SEO tools for you to rank. I mean, that's my bread and butter right now, and it's working tremendously well. But take that one photo, Google My Business first, Facebook next, then go to your website, and you can create a page on your website. What I'm also doing with Wix, they build in a blog package along with your website, so you don't have a separate blog. So you have a blog under your domain. And I'm using my blog for updates to pages where I may have older content. So like these new construction homes, every couple months, I'm going out to try to update the viewers of these things. Well, here's how much this community has progressed, or this pool is now complete, those kind of things. So I use my blog for updates, and Google loves blogs when they're doing rankings of your website. So the more you can do along those lines, the more platforms you have for people to find, the better. And you can link them all together by mentioning them all on your post. So if I'm on Google My Business, I'll say, go to davidbarhomes.com/new homes and look for a list of communities in this area that I serve. If it's like just a simple picture from one of the new home communities in this one area that I serve. And that that helps. I always say the more impressions you can get, which are people who are seeing you on their computer screen, the better. I just started my Lakewood Ranch Google My Business page or account about a year and a half ago. I'm getting about 9,000 impressions a month.
Nice.
I'm not paying a dime for those.
See, David, this is what I'm talking about.
I have a Sarasota account and I have a Venice account, and I just started one for Parish. So, and they're all free. But it's like the more specific you get and the more relevant you get as far as posting. I mean, someone's looking for Lakewood Ranch information and they find my office location on the map. That's one way they're clicking on me, or they're clicking on the photo, or they're clicking on the description on the URL to go back to my website. So that all develops traffic, and Google rewards that because chances are your competitors are not doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, David, let's get to the nuts and bolts of this. You mentioned it earlier. You've not been buying. You don't buy any leads. You don't have to. You've got them organically coming. What does that flow look like? You said you're directing them back to your website. Do you have squeeze pages you're directing back to, or do you just freely give them the information? They raise their hand. How does it go from content to capture to convert, if that makes sense? Just kind of the flow of that.
I hear what you're saying. Let me try to boil this down. I kind of don't use the term squeeze page because a squeeze page is really meant to look at this and send me your email address or send me your info. I approach this from the aspect of they're going to like what I post enough, they'll want to contact me.
I agree completely.
As opposed to squeezing them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really kind of like, I don't believe in a lot of the thinking that goes behind what a lot of these gurus supposedly do. Like, for example, they're a lead or they're a capture or they're dripping on. I'm like, I don't want to be dripped on. I don't want to be captured. I don't want to be considered a lead. I want to be considered like a smart person who's going to like what I'm seeing that you're posting.
Yeah.
And that's my philosophy is like, if they like it, they will contact you.
So are you featuring any specific platform for you? Is it Facebook? Like, I know you're obviously Google My Business, but you're sending them to your website, or you mentioned a couple of social media platforms. Are you finding, you mentioned Instagram, are you finding like a specific social media platform that is working better for you right now?
I would say that, well, the top one I consider social media is Google My Business.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think after that would be Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to have your own Facebook business page.
Right.
Which is free, which I do because it's free.
Yeah.
I used to boost ads, and I would get views. I would get views, but I would not get likes. And I think the whole thing with likes on Facebook is overblown. There's a realtor in our area. I can see insights on my page for what other businesses are doing. And she posts 14,000 posts a week, and it's all automated, and it's not very organic, nor is it very authentic.
Right.
The thing about social media is you have to be authentic. If you're buying something from Inman, a service, and you're posting it, no one's really learning anything from that because they could have seen that from 17 other agents that are doing the same thing in your area.
Right. Yeah.
Just stick local, take local photos, and tell them what you know about the local area. That's what these people are so thirsty for information, and you have it as a local expert. These services that are posting for you don't have it.
All right, I know you guys got some really good information out of this. David's just shared a ton of value with us and really given us the roadmap on exactly how to generate all the leads we need without spending any money. David, if you don't mind, before we get off, make sure you share with everybody how the best way to get in touch with you, if they've got a referral coming your way. And also, I'll tell you what, I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to listen to this and be like, that sounds great, but I don't know what to do. If you don't mind, share your website with them also of where maybe they could get in touch with you to see if you could help them out.
Sure. Well, my primary website is davidbarrhomes.com, and it's BARR, all one word. And I put together kind of as a giggle, a little side gig. It's called agentbrandbuilder.com. It's a separate website. It's my unvarnished opinion about real estate, how to get into the business. I will show you actual results from things that I'm doing that I've been speaking about here with Jimmy. and it's completely free. So go to agentbrandbuilder.com and take a look at that.
Such good stuff. Man, David Barr is just adding value like it's free out there. So thank you, David. This is really good stuff. I know people got something good out of it. Make sure you reach out to David. Tell him thank you for doing all this, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.